Jorge Masvidal believes that Kamaru Usman, the current UFC welterweight champion, can be defeated. Usman is undefeated in the UFC, and he's on a 19-fight winning streak. He's also successfully defended his title 5 times, putting him at the top of the pound-for-pound rankings. Masvidal, on the other hand, claims that this doesn't mean Usman is untouchable. So stay tuned for everything you need to know about Masvidal and his opinion on Usman. First up, Masvidal believes Usman is certainly beatable, and here's exactly what he had to say. Kamaru Usman might have knocked out Jorge Masvidal, but he doesn't seem to have gained the respect of game bred as a striker. Despite all the buzz about Usman's development as a complete fighter, Masvidal still believes that the UFC welterweight champion is nothing exceptional on the ground. Masvidal gives his thoughts on Usman's performance during an appearance on Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast. "Oh, I know he's beatable. There's not a man alive who isn't beatable," he stated very confidently. Jorge Masvidal feels Kamaru Usman is not only very beatable, but that he may be the one to accomplish the task. He knows he can harm and finish Usman if he improves his takedown defense and keeps his battle on the feet. On the other hand, Masvidal will almost certainly need to win numerous fights in a row to receive another opportunity in the ring with Usman. He claims that he isn't sure when or against whom he's going to fight next, but he's confident that towards the end of his career he's going to be a UFC champion. Masvidal has fought Usman twice for the welterweight belt, but he's lost both times. Usman dominated game bred in their first fight in UFC 251, winning a unanimous decision after 5 rounds to retain his championship. However, their rematch at UFC 261 produced one of the most surprising results in recent memory. Usman, who is pretty much viewed by most as a one-dimensional, albeit dominant wrestler, knocked out Masvidal in the second round with a massive right hand. Ouch. Next, Marlon Vera roughs up Rob Font in a unanimous decision win. In other MMA or UFC news, this past week Rob Font had a run-in with the tenacious Marlon Vera in an epic match to takedown. For the opening 10 minutes, Font looked fantastic, landing a near record number of important strikes in a UFC bantamweight title. Vera, on the other hand, came in strong in the later rounds, raising his hand thanks to 4 significant moments. A lot more obvious damage too, and the ability to stroll past Font's persistent pressure. In terms of meaningful strikes, Font's output was among the finest in UFC bantamweight history. In that department, he landed more than 200 jabs. Vera, on the other hand, wasn't very far behind, and had a greater proportion which ultimately helped him come out on top. By the end of the bout, Font's face appeared like it had been put through a meat grinder after 25 minutes, whereas Vera's face was quite clean. After losing the opening round to Rob Font, Chito found his stride in the subsequent rounds and turned things around to win by unanimous decision in the end. Pro fighters reacted to the performance on Twitter. Been a lot of action tonight, and I think the main event is going to be even more violent, wrote Belal Muhammad, an American mixed martial artist. On a similar note, Henry Cujero tweeted, "Fast start to Font, mixing in uppercuts with his terrific jabs. Need more movement than a Chito." He continued, writing, "What an insane pace for 25 minutes. Opportunistic offense from Chito, historic output from Font. What a war. Way to represent the bantamweights." It's undoubtedly Vera's most significant victory. The 29-year-old has a 13-6 record in the UFC since 2014, but he hasn't really been able to put together that kind of run or signature win that would propel him to title contention. On Saturday, though, that all changed. "I feel like my head is catching up to my body today," Vera added. "It's been a long, winding road, but there's a lot of work to be done." Vera, an Ecuadorian, has won 3 times in a row. In December of 2020, he was defeated by Jose Aldo. Last November, he defeated former lightweight champion Frankie Edgar. Font has now lost both of his battles in a row. In December, he also lost against Aldo. Up next, Paddy Pimblett claims he could take out Logan Paul. Paddy Pimblett has already made a name for himself in the UFC after just 2 fights. Last month, the lightweight prospect won his second fight in the promotion, defeating Rodrigo Casula Vargas via first-round rear choke submission on the main card of an epic UFC London event. Unsurprisingly, Pimblett has found himself in the crosshairs of several fellow lightweights in the time since his victory. More unusual people have expressed interest in fighting him, including Logan Paul, a YouTube star turned boxer who recently named Pimblett as the person who he wants to make his UFC debut against. Interesting. So what did Pimblett have to say about all this? He knows who the boy is, doesn't he? He knows who'll put bums on seats, lad. I can't see him mentioning anybody else. I know he's a lot bigger than me, I don't think it matters, to be honest. I think I'd submit him quite easily." He continued, "If Logan Paul ever does want to fight, lad, I'm open to hearing what numbers he's coming at us with." Pimblett stated, making it painfully obvious that he believes he could take out Paul no problem. While there is a noticeable size gap between the two, Pimblett openly flaunts his skill and his talent. Despite being significantly smaller, he intends to eat a full diet in the next months to get into the octagon. In regards to Logan Paul, he doesn't have any amateur or professional professional MMA experience, but the 27-year-old has participated in NCAA Division I wrestling at Westlake High School in Cleveland, Ohio, following his amazing WrestleMania 38 debut earlier this month. Paul is trying to sign a contract with WWE, but the YouTube King isn't ruling out a switch to the MMA/UFC world. Do you think these two are ever going to go head-to-head? Let us know in the comment section below. Next, Alexander Volkanovski takes down the Korean Zombie. Is Alexander Volkanovski currently the finest UFC fighter on the planet? After defending his featherweight title with a strong stoppage win over Jung Chung-sun, named the Korean Zombie, or nicknamed I guess, fans and viewers are raising this question. And with his third title defense this past week, Alexander the Great Volkanovski proved one thing: he rules the UFC's featherweight division, and it's going to take something extraordinary to knock him from his spot. With a dominating fourth-round finish of Chang Sung-jung, Volkanovski won his 11th straight fight since entering the UFC. Before the Korean Zombie was ultimately put out of his misery, Volkanovski carved out 3.5 rounds of immaculate brilliance as a reminder to everybody who needed reminding of just how talented he really is. When Zombie was floored by a hard jab and was clearly shaky on his feet, referee Herb Dean stopped the bout and early into the fourth round. Volkanovski won the fight via technical knockout, with all three judges awarding him a 30-26 victory. It was a demolition job by the fighter and a pinnacle of his abilities, and the UFC community was eager to congratulate Volkanovski. Volkanovski's speed is better than I've ever seen, I believe. UFC expert commentator Paul Felder remarked, his ability to keep a tremendous pace, the footwork, the pace, and the speed is better than we've ever seen before, and he was already one of the best champions in the game. Joe Rogan said following the second round, many UFC fans believe Volkanovski is the best pound-for-pound fighter in all categories as a result of his outstanding performance. In the UFC's official rankings, he's presently rated number 3 behind the welterweight champion Kamaru Usman and middleweight champion Israel Adesanya. Pundits said that Volkanovski's latest performance demonstrated that he's certainly at the top of the pack. Volkanovski has made it known that he wants to fight anybody who wants to challenge him for the featherweight championship. But given his featherweight division domination, a blockbuster trilogy battle with Max Holloway looms as his next big obstacle. Volkanovski has won their previous 2 fights and was scheduled to fight Holloway earlier this year, but the American pulled out due to an undisclosed ailment. A showdown with Holloway on Australian soil would have been an appropriate way to end his long-running battle with his closest opponent. And there you have it. Everything you need to know about Jorge Masvidal and how he believes Usman is definitely beatable. Will we see that day soon, though, when the two get back in the ring? Also, we touched on other UFC news, including Marlon Vera taking Rob Font, Paddy Pimblett claiming he could take out the YouTube-turned-boxer Logan Paul, and Alexander Volkanovski's epic takedowns of the Korean Zombie. And make sure to let us know your thoughts on everything down below. Do you think Pimblett could really take out Logan Paul? Did you see that epic takedown of the Korean Zombie, man? Let us know down below. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss any of our new and upcoming content. Thanks for watching.